Alright, what's going on, guys? We are back. Been a couple days since the last video blog, but I've had a couple days now to reflect after leaving Las Vegas, officially coming back home, and after playing the $25,000 buy-in 20 PLO World Series Poker event. I think that's what it's called. And yeah, so I want to talk about a little bit about the event in retrospect, talk a little bit about the players, talk about some of the bigger hands I played, and yeah, overall kind of look back at that. I'll have some more video blogs coming up here on some other events on the 3K PLO that I went deep in cashed in. I'm going to do an EDC blog, video blog, and I'll just do like a general Vegas one. I don't have a couple more in mind. I'll probably put them out. I might record them back to back an hour or something like that. But yeah, so let's talk about 25K. So I made a short video before I went out, before I started the event, but I didn't really say too much in the video. I was sort of just pumped up. I was ready to go down there and play. So I ended up, this was my 4th World Series poker event I played this summer. I ended up satelliting. I mean, you could say I won one of the satellite. They had a mega satellite, $2,000 mega satellite. I won $18,500 in that satellite, not a full seat amount. And they don't actually make you play the tournament, so I didn't have to play the tournament. I could have just taken the $18,000, and that would have been, I would have just been up 16.5K or something from that. But you know, I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling like, oh, okay, like it'll be good for business. It'll be a fun experience. It would be exciting to play this $25,000 event. You know, clearly it's definitely the biggest tournament I've ever played. I haven't really played that many tournaments in my life. And I felt pretty confident after playing the 3K PLO, after playing the 10K PLO. I just felt confident in situations. I felt like I had an understanding of what to do because tournaments differ from playing cash games, you know, in a bunch of different ways. I think the biggest thing in tournaments is that your bet sizing matters so much on later streets, on turn and river, and that'll come into play into the biggest hand that I played, and yeah, I'll just get into it, man. So I decided to play the tournament. I sold some action to a couple people, kept some action for myself under the deal that I have, and yeah, I was ready to play. So I think I ended up registering a little bit late. It starts off really, really deep, and 450 big blinds deep, which is really big. I know some people are going to watch this that don't necessarily know about poker, so I'm going to try to like, I'm going to try to like break it down a little bit for people that understand. That was actually the biggest thing I've taken away, is that from just interacting with a lot of people, is that, you know, people understand poker, but they don't necessarily know the specifics and intricacies of certain things when it comes to things that may be discussed when talking about poker over the past like couple weeks. But yeah, so we start off very deep, 450 big blinds, and in theory that means that if you have a lot of deeper stack experience like myself, then you would have an edge in that situation. But I think in this field, your table draw matters so much. This is a $25,000 event, so you're going to get a lot of the best PLO players in the entire world that are playing this event. And you're going to get the best tournament players. You're not really going to get too many fun players that don't really understand what they're doing that much. So my first table I got switched pretty quickly, so I'm just going to talk about the second table. And I think I mean, I could have got a better seat draw. I could have got a worse seat draw. So at my table that I recognized to my right, I had a guy named Butters Poker. He's been, I know he's been playing PLO for a long time. I heard he's been playing a lot of PLO in the past year in Las Vegas, and online and live. So I think he's definitely a good player. To his right was Noah Schwartz. Noah Schwartz is a pretty well-known guy. He's well-known as like a tournament guy. I don't know. I know he plays a lot of cash too. His right was Sam Savarell. So me and Sam have like a fun history online. We've certainly gotten into some battle of the words before, but yeah, I thought Sam played great. I thought Sam was by far one of the just better players at the table. I thought Noah played. You know, you expect like a live guy, someone that only plays live poker, to play a certain type of way, but I thought Noah's. I mean, it makes sense why why he's had success in tournaments. I thought he played pretty well. You know, I just probably wouldn't have expected it just from, you know, like a live tournament type of guy. But yeah, I was definitely surprised by how well he played. I thought Thomas played pretty well as well too, a little bit tighter, but yeah, I thought he played well. Overall at my table there was one guy, a little older guy, maybe his 40s, with a tan. I'm assuming he's one of these like live cash game player guys that played in the event. I thought he was definitely the weakest player in the game. A couple other guys to my left, Asian guy, an Italian kid, and a foreign guy, an European guy I didn't know much about. I thought that thought the Asian guy played reasonably well. Other two guys, yeah, I mean, I thought they all played pretty well. I mean, honestly, it wasn't like anyone was making big mistakes. Even the older guy, I didn't think he was making that many big mistakes, but he certainly made some mistakes in some spots. But I feel like it could have been very smaller mistakes on the spectrum of mistakes. But in terms of table, yeah, it was a pretty challenging table, but I felt pretty comfortable playing the table. I didn't think I really got myself into too many spots overall until the day started moving on. And yeah, I certainly played one big hand. I had momentum going. I was building up my chips pretty well, and I played one big spot that I'll kind of just get into here in towards the end of the video, because I know people are watching this. Like, I'm just going to cut to the chase sort of on things. So I ended up day one playing a pretty big pot with Butters, and then that sort of killed my momentum for the most part. After me and him played this pot, I was down to about 100,000 in chips, which was about 50 big blinds, which you don't know about tournaments. That's still a lot of play, but yeah, I don't think I really recovered from that pot, and yeah, I think as your chips become more and more valuable, and as the blinds are bigger and you have less big blinds, your bet sizing really matters much more. And understanding why you're betting what you're betting, understanding what you're trying to do against your opponent, if you're trying to get them to fight, I think it just matters so much more. And that's the thing that I just don't have that much experience in, is playing these shorter stacks where every big blind counts and every chip counts. And I think that there was just a lot of spots where I may have, played the spots okay, or had an idea how to play the spots okay from like a pure PLO theory perspective, but in terms of a tournament PLO perspective, it's sort of like I'm guessing. I don't really exactly know why I'm choosing the sizing I'm choosing, where I'm playing cash. Like, I have like a great understanding of what I'm trying to achieve, why I'm betting flop, why I'm betting turn, why I'm betting this size, what I think he's going to do with all of his ranges, essentially. And then in this, it's just different, because I don't necessarily know the ranges people are going to show up with in these spots, because I haven't played the spots enough. And you might say some people are going to play extremely tighter on turns and rivers compared to cash games where they're not, and some player types are going to be playing a certain type of way on turns and rivers. Some people are going to be playing loose pre-flop, but it's really hard for me to know exactly which player types these are, because I haven't played that many tournaments. And I can guess, and I can make a fairly educated guess, but I'm not going to know specifically, and therefore that's going to be affecting the decisions that I make in certain spots. So yeah, I think after I lost that pot, I definitely played a couple other adventurous pots, but I ended up the day one. I made day two. I ended up making day two with about 21 big blinds, which is pretty short for PLO tournaments. And I got to say, going into day two, it's a 4-day event. I think there was about 100 people left, 27 people cash. First place is $1.1 million. So I'm 100 people away from making $1.1 million potentially, after taking into account selling action and stuff. So yeah, I was very nervous. I wasn't nervous. I was just like agitated. I was excited, anxious, probably nervous too, because I saw my table draw. See, they post who you're playing with at the tables, and I had Ben Salsky, one of the best PLO players in the world, Sauce 123. Sean Winter was to my right. I play with him. One of the best tournament players. Scott Sievers at the table. Christian Harder at the table. A couple other guys at the table who, going in that I knew played a lot of PLO. So, and then I had a short stack. I'm not very comfortable playing a short stack. I don't necessarily know what's GTO, what's optimal, what the right plays are a lot of times with the short stack. And yeah, so I was nervous the entire day, leading about 4 or 5 hours up into it. Got to my table. Once I sat down, started feeling good. Made an open continuation bet. Made a couple 3-bets with strong aces. So I was feeling confident, but my day didn't last long. 30 minutes into the day, I end up, this is a quick hand, so I'm going to get into the hands now. I end up, Sauce opens the hand. Sean Winter, he opens the cutoff to pot. Sean Winter flat calls on the button, and I have about 24 big blinds in the small blind. I have ace, king, jack 10 with ace, king of diamonds, or ace, jack of diamonds. I can't remember. I might not matter a little bit, might matter some, might not matter at all. I decided to elect a 3-bet, so it opens the pot, 3.5 big blinds. He calls 3.5 big blinds. I make it, 9, 10.5. 11.5, 14, 15, 15 big blinds. So I end up getting in about most of my stack. And Sauce calls pretty quickly. And then Sean Winter goes all in, re-isolating him, and then Sauce calls. So it's a three-way all in. If I win the pot, I have about 200,000 in chips. I have Ace King Jack 10. Sean Winter turns over Ace Queen Jack 9 with Ace Jack of Hearts. And Sauce has 5, 6, 7, 8 with one suit. So Sean Winter, in his perspective, he covers Sauce, and when Sauce just calls, he's thinking that Ace Queen Jack 9 has Sauce in pretty bad shape, so he decides to put them all in. Definitely a gambly spot, but I understand where he's coming from. Sauce has 5, 6, 7, 8. I think he's just looking to gamble in that spot. And yeah, Sean Winter asks for all hearts. He asks for hearts, flops Jack 8, 4, all hearts, and I have a backdoor full house draw. I don't get there, and I'm eliminated. Gotta say, it was very sad. It wasn't sad. It was more like, damn, I can't believe I'm out. I feel like I made the right decision in that hand, and now I'm sent to the showers. So yeah, it was hard. It was tough. You know, I feel like once that I busted that tournament, I was ready to get the fuck out of Vegas. I was ready to go. And yeah, I left about a day or two after that, just ready to get out of there. Vegas wore down my soul, wore down my heart. And yeah, in retrospect, playing the tournament, certainly a gamble. Certainly a gamble. Was I plus EV? I don't think so. I mean, probably not. Probably not. You know, I mean, in like a cash game setting, I feel like I'm plus EV in a lot of lineups, but in a tournament setting, I don't know. I mean, you could say if I win the two big pots that I have a lot of chips, and then maybe I feel much differently about the situation. I feel like in tournaments, like, it's just like, you know, these big pots matter so much, and they just, that's why it's hard to know if you're playing well, if you're playing bad, because these big pots make up your perception of did you do well, did you do bad? Maybe I played really well, maybe I had a good understanding of situations, maybe I made really good decisions in spots, but it's really hard to know. The sample size is so small, the number of hands is so small. So would I have done it again? Fuck yeah. But yeah, obviously it's just, you know, it's a different experience for me. I don't play many tournaments. So, but yeah, I want to talk about the big hand I played, which was I played against Butters. I wrote this down. I have it written down right here on my notebook. Ba-bam. So yeah, so blinds were 800 and 1,600, and I started hand about 190,000 in chips. I think I had a little bit more in Butters, so I had about over 100 big blinds. He opens up to 4,000. I call in position with ace, 10, 8, with ace, 10 of spades, so I have the nut spades. Could 3-bet, but I mean, I think standard's just a call. Big blind calls, so there's about 13,000 chips in the pot. Flops Jack 10, 6, Jack 6 of spades. So I have ace 8, 10, 8 with spades, so I flop the nut flush draw. And I block top two pair, I block middle set, I have a backdoor straight draw. Two backdoor straight draws. Butters continuation bets 5,000 into 13,000, and I decide to raise to 20,000. And I think raising there, I think at the time, I may have had a little bit more aggressive image, but I think we were pretty deep. I think raising there is just pretty standard. I think raising there is just fine. It also sets up a dynamic where maybe he's going to be less inclined to c-bet in the future. Maybe he's going to be less inclined to want to play pots against me from, I guess it only matters from like a small blind versus big blind perspective. It might just make him a little bit hesitant to play certain hands a certain type of way. It might make him hesitant to potentially open in the future if he's in the cutoff, knowing I'm going to flat the button and I'm going to be playing aggressively against his continuation bets. It might just overall is going to make him maybe think a lot more. Whether it's true, I'm speculating. It kind of what it would do to me if someone was playing like this in position against me. I think it's just going to make me really start thinking more about my decisions and playing a little bit tighter in some spots. So overall, I think it's good to be raising hands there, and I think obviously this is a very strong hand, and I think I get him to call with worse hands, with worse flush draws, with worse straight draws, and then fold the turn. I think I get him to potentially, I don't think he ever really plays back at me, even with like a hand like king, queen something with king high spades. Yeah, I think it's just a play for value. I think it's just a smart play, a winning play. So I raise to 20K, and he calls. So the pot is 53,000. Turns a 10. So the board pairs Jack, 10, 10, 6. I have trip 10s now. I have ace 8, 10, 8. So I block jacks. I block 8. I block Jack 10. And I think if he has top set, he's just going to re-raise on the flop. And yeah, I'm feeling fucking great. I'm feeling great about the hand. So he checks, and now it's a big decision. So in tournaments, this is a big decision. What size am I going to bet? Pot's 50,000 chips. I don't necessarily. I think the bet sizing I went with, talking with some people, I bet 34,000, and I just think it's too big, really. I guess it's too big because. So I guess let's just think about it out loud here. So when I bet 34,000, I almost think you can change your bet sizing here. In that, I think when I'm bluffing, I think what happens when I bet smaller is that he will continue with straight draws that maybe contain a jack, straight draws that contain queens, straight draws that contain kings, like a king-queen type hand with kings, king, king, queen, 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 something, jack, king, queen, jack, something like hands like that. So I think when I bet smaller, he is more inclined to want to continue, is going to continue with those hands. And I think when I bet bigger, he's more inclined to want to fold those hands, thinking he might be drawing dead. So I think when I'm bluffing, I might want to bet bigger in that spot. When I'm betting for value, I might want to bet smaller in that spot because I want him to continue with those hands, especially when I block king, queen. And I also block queen 9 with the 8. And that's just from like an exploitative standpoint, maybe from an overall game plan standpoint. I might want to bet smaller too, because if I'm going to be playing in more spots with him in the future, and let's assume that I'm going to be raising flops in the future, which may or may not be a realistic thought, then I might want to be giving myself a better price on my bluffs in the future on the turn. I don't want to risk as many chips. Maybe from an overall table dynamic standpoint, I want to be betting smaller there as well, assuming that I'm going to be getting into more spots on the flop, and they're picking up on my sizing that I'm doing. But maybe they won't get the. I mean, obviously I'm thinking. I think a lot about these things. Whether these are proper thoughts, those are bad thoughts from a tournament perspective, I'm not sure. But maybe I'm just thinking way too fucking much about the situation. Maybe it doesn't matter. But yeah, I decided about 34,000, and in retrospect, I think it's just too big. I think I should just bet a little bit smaller. I guess got excited. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how big of a mistake it could have been. But I bet he calls. Turn, a river's a 3 of spades, so I make the flush. So it's Jack, 10, 10, 6, 3. Flush draw gets there on the river. I got the nut flush. I block, and I got the 10. He checks, and I bet 47,000. What's the pot at that point? What is it? 20, 40, 53, 83, 87. So it's about 87,000. I bet 47,000. So, yeah, it's another one of those spots. I mean, I'm not sure. What sizing should I go with? Once again, you can just kind of run back the thoughts from the turn. Kind of run back the same things. I mean, in the future. So let's say, once we get to the turn and he calls, we can kind of put him on a pretty strong range of hands, right? Once again, kind of all those value hands. Potentially a 10. Could have a king 10 type hand, king queen 10 type hand. Like, remember, basically the same hands. King king, queen queen with spades. I feel like a 10. Yeah, I think all those hands are pretty reasonable, with or without flush draws too. I think with a 10, without a flush draw is more likely than just bare kings. Although I think bare kings, he's smart enough to potentially have that hand with a straight draw, knowing that I could be raising a flush draw on the turn, or on the flop rather, and then barreling the turn. So yeah, river sizing, I bet 47,000. He tanks for a long time, and I'm like, oh man, like, fucking call. Like, I'm excited. I'm like, man, I hope he calls. I hope he calls. I hope he calls. He finally calls, and I'm like, yes. So I say nut flush, and then he has pocket sixes, and he wins the hand on the bottom full house. And I'm just like shocked. I'm like, oh shit, wow. Did I, like, if you told me how often are you losing this hand, Joey, how the action played out, I was like, there's a 0% chance I'm losing this hand. I never beat here. Just didn't make sense. He tanks so long on pocket sixes. Like, I only have Jack 10, jacks, 10s. I don't know many mans I can beat him, right? And so he 10 calls. I end up having about 90,000 chips on the spot. I guess from my perspective, what does my hand look like on the river? I just think I have a strong hand. I need to value bet it. What I expect him to call with some 10s. But I don't know. I mean, if he's got king queen, he blocks my straight draw bluffs that I could be bluff raising him with. If he has a 10, he might think I might not value bet. I think it's just normal. Like if he's got a 10, it's just a bet. He had a better hand that beat me, and yeah. But I think he said something on Twitter. I was definitely value betting the hand. I don't know. I'm not sure. He said something on Twitter after the hand, but I definitely value betting the hand, investors. Anyone invested in Tom? I think he played pretty well. Good investment. Tommy? I don't know. But yeah, that was the hand. That was pivotal hand. After that, I was just like, man, shit, fuck. But yeah, I thought I hung in there, bet a little bit, but just the variance in shorter stack poker, short stack PLO. I don't know, man. I misclicked one time. I misclicked min raise Noah in a spot when I meant to call, but I put the same amount of chips, but I accidentally grabbed the wrong trips. Just not enough focus in that spot. I thought that I maintained my focus pretty well, but I got pretty tired towards the end. And it certainly might have affected my decisions. And then day 2, there's really not much to say about day 2. It just sucks that this is like the only tournament to play. This is the only tournament that buying to play for the entire year. You got to wait another year to play. It sucks. And yeah, I'm excited for next year to play more tournaments. I really want to play more PLO tournaments. And this has gotten long. But yeah, if you stuck around this long, much love. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate all the support. Honestly, like throughout these tournaments, man, I never realized what people meant in the past when they said like, thanks for the support. People are like, oh, thanks for the support. Like, thanks for all the messages and all this shit. I'm like, what are these people talking about? But from going deep in these tournaments, so much love. You get so much love from your family, from your friends, from fans of the podcast, fans of just overall. So I got to say that was pretty cool. It's pretty great. And yeah, it's definitely great. Kind of touching a little bit, It's pretty like, wow, like that's really cool that people are gonna take, especially people you don't know, take the time out, say wish you luck. Good luck, man. You can do it. Go Pop B. You're like all this stuff like that. It's really cool. Really cool to see, honestly. Hard to describe the feeling. Really, it's really cool. Had a lot of those moments out there in Vegas this year. Just from dealing with people, talking to people about the podcast. Having fans come up to you and be like, "Yo, I love your shit. It's fucking awesome, man. Love what you do. It's great. Please keep doing it." Just all this stuff, man. It's great. Great feeling, honestly. Real fun. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited just to put some ideas into motion in my mind. And yeah, overall tournament experience, fun, had a good time. It's a rush. It's a great time. Boring as fuck. Decisions matter so much more. Wouldn't do it for a living. But yeah, that's it. I don't want to make this too long. Be back with some more video blogs, guys. Appreciate you watching to the end. If you watch during the end, comment, let me know. Tell me what's up. Shout out to my boy for giving me this hat out in Vegas, man. Much love. My boy O'Toole. What's up, kid? That's it. Peace out, guys.